How God chooses the chosen ones. 7 divine secrets you didn't know. My beloved, listen gently and deeply, because this message is not loud, yet it carries eternal weight. Many wonder how God chooses the chosen ones, and most look for signs in power, popularity, or perfection. But divine selection does not work the way the human mind assumes. God does not choose the loudest soul in the room. God chooses the listening one. My beloved, the first divine secret is this. God chooses through inner sensitivity, not outer strength. Chosen ones often feel more deeply than others. You notice shifts in energy, emotions in rooms, and unspoken truths. This sensitivity is not weakness, it is spiritual intelligence. God entrusts messages only to hearts that can feel beyond words. The second secret, my beloved, is early pressure. Chosen ones are often tested early in life. Confusion, rejection, responsibility, or loss may arrive before you feel ready. This is not punishment, it is preparation. God strengthens the roots before allowing the tree to be seen. My beloved, the third divine secret is separation without explanation. God slowly removes you from places where you no longer fit. Friendships fade, familiar paths close. You may not understand why, but heaven does. Chosen ones are separated not because they are better, but because their assignment requires clarity. The fourth secret is resistance to false authority. My beloved, chosen ones struggle with systems that lack truth. You feel uncomfortable following blindly. This is because God placed discernment within you. You are meant to follow truth, not titles. The fifth divine secret, my beloved, is silence before revelation. Before God reveals purpose, there is often a quiet season. No validation, no applause, just inner growth. Many quit here. Chosen ones stay. Silence sharpens listening. My beloved, the sixth secret is compassion through pain. You were not given wounds to suffer endlessly, but to understand others deeply. Chosen ones heal differently because they remember what it feels like to break. The seventh and final divine secret, my beloved, is free will alignment. God never forces selection. You are chosen when you repeatedly choose truth over comfort, integrity over approval, and growth over ease. My beloved, being chosen is not a title, it is a responsibility. It does not elevate you above others. It calls you deeper within yourself. If these words stir something familiar inside you, do not rush to label it. Simply remain honest, humble, and open. God does not choose the perfect. God chooses the willing. And my beloved, willingness is already awakening within you. My beloved, let us go deeper now, because the way God chooses the chosen ones is far more layered, patient, and mysterious than most people ever realize. What you see on the surface is never the full story. Heaven works quietly, slowly, and with precision that the human mind cannot calculate. My beloved, understand this first. God does not suddenly choose someone in one moment. Selection begins long before awareness, long before faith, long before understanding. Many chosen ones look back and realize that even as children, they felt different. Not superior, different. You questioned things others accepted. You felt emotions others ignored. This was not imagination. This was divine tuning. My beloved, one of the hidden processes of divine choosing is internal refinement. God allows you to experience confusion so you learn discernment. God allows disappointment so you learn expectation without attachment. Every inner struggle shapes your spiritual eyesight. Chosen ones are not spared chaos. They are trained inside it. Another deep secret, my beloved, is that God often hides chosen ones in ordinary lives. You may not come from fame, wealth, or influence. You may feel invisible. This is intentional. Visibility comes later. Character comes first. Heaven protects what is still forming. My beloved, many chosen ones experience a strong pull towards solitude at different phases of life. Not because they hate people, but because their spirit needs recalibration. God speaks most clearly when the noise fades. Solitude is not loneliness, it is alignment. Understand this carefully, my beloved. God watches how you behave when no one is watching. Your private integrity matters more than public devotion. Chosen ones are tested in unseen moments. How you treat people who cannot benefit you, how you speak when anger rises, how you act when shortcuts appear. Another divine marker, my beloved, is inner resistance to injustice. You may feel disturbed by unfairness, manipulation, or cruelty even when it does not affect you personally. This is because God places a moral compass inside chosen ones that refuses to stay silent. My beloved, do not ignore this truth. Many chosen ones try to run from their calling. You may try to blend in, stay small, or choose comfort over truth. God allows this for a time, but restlessness follows, not as punishment, but as reminder. Your soul remembers what your mind tries to forget. There is also a season, my beloved, where chosen ones feel spiritually dry. Prayer feels empty. Faith feels distant. This is not abandonment. This is maturity training. God teaches you to stand without constant reassurance. My beloved, another secret is that chosen ones are rarely understood early in life. Misinterpretation is part of the path. You are not meant to be validated before you are grounded. Approval too early weakens clarity. God also observes, my beloved, how you respond to power. When given influence, however small, do you dominate or serve? Do you inflate yourself or remain humble? Small leadership moments reveal readiness for larger responsibility. My beloved, being chosen does not mean life becomes easy. It means life becomes meaningful. You begin to see lessons instead of accidents, purpose instead of punishment, direction instead of chaos. And here is a truth few speak, my beloved. God chooses chosen ones not because they are fearless, but because they continue despite fear. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is obedience in its presence. My beloved, if these words resonate deeply, do not rush ahead. Do not compare yourself. Do not seek validation. Simply remain honest, grounded, and aligned. Heaven moves when the heart is ready, not when the ego demands answers. You are not late. You are not forgotten. You are not mistaken. My beloved, God's choosing unfolds exactly on time. My beloved, now we move even deeper into the sacred mechanics of how God chooses the chosen ones, because there are truths that are only revealed after endurance. These are not surface-level signs. These are inner markings that only time, patience, and pressure can expose. My beloved, one of the most misunderstood aspects of divine choosing is delay. God deliberately delays certain blessings, answers, and breakthroughs for chosen ones, not because heaven is withholding, but because timing protects you. If you receive too early what you now desire, it would distort you. Delay is not denial, it is divine shielding. Another hidden secret, my beloved, is that chosen ones are often placed around people who misunderstand them. This trains you to stand firm without applause. God watches closely to see if you will still live truthfully when you are mislabeled, doubted, or underestimated. This builds spiritual independence. My beloved, God also chooses through emotional mastery. You may notice that life repeatedly puts you in situations that test your reactions. Betrayal, disappointment, injustice. These moments are exams, not accidents. Chosen ones are refined until they can respond rather than react. There is also a divine reason, my beloved, why chosen ones feel a deep discomfort with superficial living. Empty conversations, shallow goals, meaningless routines drain you. This is because your soul is wired for depth. God does not assign shallow missions to deep spirits. My beloved, another secret is invisible protection. Many chosen ones survive things that should have broken them. Accidents avoided. Situations that resolved mysteriously. People who meant harm but failed. You may not even notice it, but heaven intervenes quietly. Protection does not always look dramatic. Sometimes it looks like redirection. God also observes, my beloved, how you handle knowledge. When you learn something new, do you use it to elevate yourself or to understand others better? Chosen ones are entrusted with insight only when they use it with humility. My beloved, there is often a phase where chosen ones feel disconnected from both the world and heaven. You may feel spiritually in between. This is a threshold season. Old identities dissolve before new clarity arrives. Many people panic here. Chosen ones stay present. Another deep marker, my beloved, is the ability to sit with uncertainty without collapsing. God trains chosen ones to walk by faith, not control. If you could see everything ahead, trust would not be required. My beloved, notice how often life forces you to choose integrity over advantage. Opportunities that require compromise appear attractive. God watches closely. Chosen ones are not perfect, but they correct themselves quickly. There is also a sacred loneliness, my beloved, that chosen ones experience even in crowds. This is not a flaw. It is the soul remembering its source. You are connected differently. My beloved, understand this clearly. God does not choose you because you are better than others. God chooses you because you are available. Available to grow. Available to listen. Available to change. Chosen ones are not always spiritual by choice at first. Often, life pushes them inward until awareness awakens. Pain becomes a teacher. Silence becomes a guide. My beloved, the more you resist ego, the more clarity arrives. Pride blocks divine flow. Humility opens it. This is why chosen ones are often humbled repeatedly, not to shame them, but to align them. And here is a truth few are ready to hear, my beloved. Not every chosen one completes their assignment. Selection is offered. Fulfillment is chosen daily. Free will always remains. If you feel both called and challenged by these words, my beloved, that tension itself is confirmation. Comfort rarely accompanies calling. Do not rush your process. Do not compare your timing. Do not seek permission to be who you are becoming. My beloved, God is still shaping you, quietly, precisely, lovingly. My beloved, as we continue, understand that God's choosing becomes clearer not through signs outside you, but through patterns inside your life. When you look back honestly, you will see a divine thread connecting moments that once felt random. Nothing about your journey has been accidental. My beloved, one of the deeper ways God chooses the chosen ones is through inner discomfort with stagnation. You cannot stay where your soul has outgrown. Even when life appears stable, something inside you pushes for more truth, more meaning, more alignment. This restlessness is sacred. It is God refusing to let you settle for less than your assignment. Another hidden truth, my beloved, is that chosen ones are repeatedly placed in situations where they must stand alone. Not because God wants isolation, but because clarity is forged in independence. When no one agrees with you, you learn to hear your inner voice clearly. God teaches you to trust discernment over approval. My beloved, notice how often you are guided away from shortcuts. Others may succeed through manipulation, dishonesty, or compromise, but those paths close for you. Doors shut unexpectedly. Plans collapse. This is divine protection. God does not allow chosen ones to build success on unstable foundations. There is also a powerful reason, my beloved, why chosen ones feel deeply affected by truth and lies. You feel disturbed by deception, even small ones. This is because your spirit is aligned with truth frequency. God sharpens your awareness so you can recognize what is real in a world full of illusions. My beloved, another divine marker is delayed recognition. You may work harder and receive less acknowledgement. This trains you to detach from validation. God wants your motivation pure, not dependent on praise. When recognition finally comes, it will not control you. Understand this, my beloved. God watches how you treat those beneath you, not just those above you. Kindness without advantage is a sacred test. Chosen ones pass it quietly, without announcing it. My beloved, you may notice that life forces you into repeated cycles of surrender. Just when you feel in control, something asks you to release it. This teaches you flexibility. God cannot flow through rigid hearts. Another sign of divine choosing, my beloved, is a natural ability to see potential in others. You recognize depth where others see flaws. This is not naivety. It is spiritual sight. God allows you to see beyond behavior into essence, but also teaches you boundaries over time. My beloved, many chosen ones experience moments where they feel unseen by heaven itself. Prayers feel unanswered. Signs feel distant. This is not abandonment. This is spiritual adulthood. God teaches you to trust without constant reassurance. There is also a quiet courage growing inside you, my beloved. You may not feel brave, but you continue anyway. You speak when necessary. You walk away when required. Courage shows up as consistency, not drama. My beloved, God also chooses through correction. When you are misaligned, you feel it quickly. Guilt, unease, restlessness, these are not punishments. They are guidance systems. Chosen ones are course-corrected early. Another truth few accept, my beloved, is that chosen ones are not protected from loss. They are protected through loss. What leaves your life was never meant to define your future. God removes what would limit your growth. My beloved, you are also tested through compassion. Can you remain kind without becoming weak? Can you love without losing yourself? These are high-level lessons entrusted only to those with strong spirits. Understand this clearly, my beloved. Divine choosing is not about being special. It is about being useful to truth. God aligns those who can carry responsibility without becoming arrogant. If you feel tired yet still moving forward, my beloved, that is strength. If you feel confused yet still honest, that is wisdom forming. Do not rush clarity. Do not fear silence. Do not doubt the process. My beloved, God is still choosing you again and again. Every time you choose truth over comfort, growth over ease, and integrity over illusion. My beloved, now we arrive at one of the deepest layers of how God chooses the chosen ones. A layer many never speak about because it requires honesty, humility, and courage to accept. This is where the path becomes quieter, heavier, and far more sacred. My beloved, God chooses the chosen ones through internal accountability. You cannot lie to yourself for long. Even when others justify wrong actions, something inside you refuses peace until alignment returns. This inner conscience is not anxiety, it is divine calibration. God places a higher standard within you, not to burden you, but to protect your destiny. Another profound secret, my beloved, is that chosen ones are often tested through love. You may love deeply, sometimes more than feels safe. You may give chances others would not. This is not weakness. This is a heart trained in mercy. But God also teaches you discernment, so love does not turn into self-betrayal. Balance becomes your lesson. My beloved, understand this truth carefully. God allows chosen ones to be misunderstood on purpose. Being misread teaches you detachment from labels. When people project their fears, jealousy, or confusion onto you, God observes whether you defend your ego or protect your peace. Silence often becomes your strength. Another sign of divine choosing, my beloved, is selective exhaustion. You may feel drained by environments that others thrive in. Crowds, noise, negativity, shallow ambition. These exhaust your spirit. This is because your energy is meant for depth, not chaos. God teaches you to conserve your life force wisely. My beloved, God also chooses through repeated redirection. Plans you were sure about suddenly dissolve. Paths you prepared for collapse. This is not failure, it is intervention. When something is not aligned with your higher calling, God blocks it, even if it hurts. Later, you understand the mercy. There is also a season, my beloved, where chosen ones experience identity shedding. You outgrow old versions of yourself. What once defined you no longer fits. This can feel uncomfortable, even lonely. But God cannot place new purpose into an old container. Transformation requires release. My beloved, notice how life trains you to be calm in chaos. While others panic, you breathe. While others react, you observe. This emotional steadiness is not accidental. God refines chosen ones to become anchors in unstable environments. Another hidden truth, my beloved, is that chosen ones are often called to forgive without reconciliation. Forgiveness frees your heart. Reconciliation requires trust. God teaches you the difference, so your compassion does not cost your boundaries. My beloved, many chosen ones experience spiritual awakenings gradually, not suddenly. Truth unfolds layer by layer. This prevents arrogance. God reveals only what you are ready to carry responsibly. There is also a sacred discipline forming inside you, my beloved. You may not announce it, but you are learning restraint, when to speak, when to wait, when to act, when to observe. This wisdom cannot be taught. It is lived. My beloved, God chooses the chosen ones by watching how they handle hidden influence. People listen to you. Energy shifts around you. Advice you give lingers. God observes whether you use this influence to uplift or control. Power is measured by intention. Another truth few accept, my beloved, is that chosen ones must learn to walk without certainty. Faith grows strongest when outcomes are unclear. God trains you to trust direction, not details. My beloved, you may feel at times that your life is harder than necessary. But understand this, depth requires pressure. Diamonds are not formed gently. Neither are you. God does not choose you because you are flawless. God chooses you because you are willing to be refined. If your heart feels heavy yet peaceful reading this, my beloved, that is recognition, not fear. Remain patient. Remain grounded. Remain aligned. My beloved, the choosing is still unfolding, and you are exactly where you need to be. My beloved, now we step into an even deeper chamber of understanding, because how God chooses the chosen ones is not only about preparation, it is about containment. This is where many paths diverge, and only a few continue forward with clarity. My beloved, one of the most hidden divine processes is that God measures how much light you can carry without becoming hardened. Chosen ones are exposed to truth that could easily turn into pride, judgment, or superiority. God watches carefully. Does the truth make you kinder or colder, humble or distant? Only those who remain soft while becoming strong are entrusted with more. Another sacred truth, my beloved, is that chosen ones are trained to live with delayed gratification. You may want answers now, relief now, recognition now, but God slows the pace intentionally. This trains patience, maturity, and trust. Impatience weakens discernment. Waiting sharpens it. My beloved, notice how often your heart pulls you away from environments that celebrate ego, competition, or superficial success. You may feel out of place where others feel energized. This is because your spirit is aligned with substance, not spectacle. God does not place eternal assignments in temporary mindsets. There is also a profound reason, my beloved, why chosen ones experience cycles of breaking and rebuilding. Just when you feel established, something reshapes you. This is not instability, it is elevation. God breaks attachments that would limit the next level of growth. What survives rebuilding is what belongs. My beloved, another deep secret is emotional honesty. Chosen ones cannot numb themselves for long. Distraction may work briefly, but truth always resurfaces. God refuses to let you escape your inner world because that is where guidance lives. Avoidance delays alignment. God also chooses, my beloved, by observing how you respond to unfair treatment. When life treats you unjustly, do you become bitter or wiser? Do you harden or deepen? These moments refine your moral authority. Chosen ones learn to hold truth without cruelty. My beloved, many chosen ones feel a strong internal resistance to manipulation, whether emotional, social, or spiritual. You sense when something is being forced. This discernment is not suspicion, it is clarity. God teaches you to recognize alignment without needing proof. Another sign, my beloved, is that your life often teaches you to lead yourself before leading others. You are asked to discipline your thoughts, manage your emotions, and take responsibility for your healing. God never assigns influence to those who cannot govern themselves. My beloved, understand this. Chosen ones are often misunderstood because they live from internal authority, not external permission. This can unsettle others. Your calm confidence may be misread as distance or arrogance. God teaches you to remain grounded anyway. There is also a season, my beloved, where chosen ones are stripped of certainty. Beliefs are questioned. Identity feels fluid. This is not loss of faith. It is faith becoming internal rather than inherited. God replaces borrowed beliefs with lived truth. My beloved, another divine marker is selective visibility. You may feel unseen when you want to be noticed, and suddenly visible when you least expect it. God controls exposure. Premature visibility invites distortion. Timed visibility brings impact. God also observes, my beloved, how you handle emotional power. When people confide in you, depend on you, or admire you, do you remain ethical? Do you redirect attention away from yourself and back to truth? This restraint is rare. This is why chosen ones are few. My beloved, there is also a sacred loneliness that returns even after growth. This is not regression. It is recalibration. God calls you inward again whenever alignment needs fine-tuning. Silence resets the soul. Another truth, my beloved, is that chosen ones often experience unexplainable peace during chaos. While circumstances shake, something inside you remains still. This is not denial, it is trust developing at a cellular level. My beloved, God chooses the chosen ones by testing consistency, not intensity. Anyone can be spiritual for a moment. Few can live truth daily without applause. Consistency is spiritual maturity. Understand this clearly, my beloved. The chosen path is not glamorous. It is precise. It asks more questions than it answers. It removes more than it gives, until what remains is unshakable. You are not becoming less. You are becoming clearer. Remain patient when clarity feels slow. Remain humble when insight grows strong. Remain open when certainty dissolves. My beloved, God is not finished shaping you. The choosing continues, quietly, deliberately, lovingly. Every time you choose awareness over ego, truth over comfort, and growth over fear. My beloved, now we enter a phase of understanding that few reach, because this is where responsibility replaces curiosity. Up to this point, many sense they are chosen. Here, God reveals why only some can continue walking consciously on this path. My beloved, one of the most sacred truths is this: God chooses chosen ones by observing how they handle power without permission. You do not need a title to influence. Your presence shifts rooms. Your words linger in hearts. Your silence speaks. God watches whether you respect this unseen authority or misuse it unconsciously. Another deep divine secret, my beloved, is emotional self-containment. Chosen ones are trained not to leak energy everywhere. You learn not to overshare, not to react impulsively, not to seek validation through explanation. This discipline is not coldness, it is wisdom. God teaches you that not everyone deserves access to your inner world. My beloved, notice how life increasingly calls you to respond slowly. You pause before speaking. You observe before deciding. This is not hesitation, it is mastery. Quick reactions belong to fear. Measured responses belong to alignment. God also chooses, my beloved, by testing your relationship with truth over belonging. There will be moments when standing in truth separates you from groups, families, or familiar identities. God watches whether you abandon truth to stay included or trust solitude to remain aligned. Another profound marker, my beloved, is that chosen ones are often given warnings before damage. You sense when something is off. You feel unease before conflict erupts. You feel heaviness before betrayal unfolds. These impressions are not imagination. They are spiritual perception. God entrusts foresight only to those who listen. My beloved, there is also a divine lesson around non-attachment. God teaches you to love deeply without clinging, to care without controlling, to commit without losing yourself. Attachment distorts intuition. Freedom sharpens it. My beloved, chosen ones are often placed in situations where silence is the correct response, even when misunderstood. God teaches you that not every accusation deserves defense. Not every misunderstanding needs correction. Peace is sometimes the higher truth. Another secret, my beloved, is energetic hygiene. You are learning to withdraw from draining conversations, chaotic people, and emotionally unsafe spaces without guilt. God trains you to protect your frequency because your clarity serves more than just you. My beloved, notice how your standards rise quietly. What you tolerate decreases. What you accept narrows. This is not judgment, it is alignment. God refines your environment to match your inner state. There is also a test, my beloved, involving delayed justice. You may be wronged and see no immediate correction. God watches whether you surrender vengeance or carry resentment. Chosen ones learn that justice handled by ego damages the soul, while justice entrusted to truth preserves it. My beloved, another deep truth is that chosen ones often feel a pull towards service without recognition, helping quietly, guiding subtly, protecting invisibly. God values impact over applause. God also chooses, my beloved, by observing how you handle inner contradiction. You can hold strength and tenderness, authority and compassion, certainty and openness. This emotional range is rare. It allows you to meet people where they are without losing yourself. My beloved, there will be moments when you feel you have outgrown your surroundings, but not yet arrived anywhere new. This is the threshold space. Do not rush it. God does deep work here, removing the last attachments to false identity. Another truth, my beloved, is that chosen ones are tested through temptation of comfort. You may be offered a simpler life that costs your integrity. God watches whether you choose ease or alignment. Comfort is not evil, but it must not replace purpose. My beloved, the path narrows here not because God excludes, but because clarity excludes distraction. Less noise, fewer voices, deeper truth. You may feel quieter than before, more selective, more inward. This is not withdrawal. This is integration. Remain steady, my beloved. Remain honest with yourself. Remain anchored in truth. God does not rush chosen ones. God grounds them, and you are being grounded now, more deeply than ever before. My beloved, now we enter a stage where the weight of awareness begins to settle fully upon the chosen ones. This is not a burden, it is preparation. God chooses you not only for insight, but for endurance, for the ability to walk through life with clarity and strength while remaining gentle. My beloved, one of the deepest signs of divine selection is restraint in action. You may notice that opportunities arise, people seek your advice, or situations demand intervention, but God teaches you when to act and when to observe. Chosen ones know that intervention without readiness can create imbalance. Timing is sacred, my beloved. Another secret, my beloved, is internal fortitude through trial. Chosen ones repeatedly face circumstances that test patience, ethics, and emotional resilience. Betrayal, misunderstanding, and delay appear often, not as punishment, but as a refining fire. Each trial strengthens discernment and removes what is not aligned with purpose. My beloved, God also selects through refined perception. You begin to sense intentions, detect hidden motives, and perceive energies that others cannot. This sensitivity is a gift, but it comes with responsibility. Chosen ones must learn to observe without judgment, to understand without attachment, and to act without ego. Beloved, notice how you are increasingly drawn to solitude and reflection. These are not escapes from life, but sacred moments where clarity forms. Silence allows the inner voice of God to be heard above the noise of human expectation. Chosen ones learn to trust this still voice more than worldly advice. My beloved, another secret is that God measures compassion under pressure. You may be surrounded by injustice, deceit, or neediness, and yet your soul is asked to maintain empathy without compromise of self. Chosen ones carry love as a shield, not as a burden. There is also a divine truth, my beloved, about alignment with truth over comfort. You may feel drawn to easy paths, familiar people, or temporary peace, but God calls you to what is real. Shortcuts are blocked. False validation is removed. Life directs you toward authenticity, even when it feels challenging. My beloved, the path of the chosen is often quietly influential. You may not see the results of your actions immediately, but the ripples travel unseen. Advice offered once, presence maintained, or integrity displayed. These subtle acts carry more power than dramatic gestures. God teaches patience in witnessing impact. Another divine secret, my beloved, is the test of non-attachment to outcomes. Chosen ones learn to invest in effort without clinging to result. You act from purpose, not expectation. Rewards follow naturally when alignment is honored. Beloved, God also chooses through sensitivity to timing. Opportunities appear in waves, not all at once. Doors open gradually. People enter and exit your life according to divine orchestration. Chosen ones learn to flow with this rhythm rather than forcing progression. My beloved, you are trained to remain joyful in stillness. Life may not always move as quickly as you wish. Circumstances may feel delayed, yet your spirit is asked to cultivate contentment even when external validation is absent. Happiness rooted in alignment becomes unshakable. Beloved, another sign is courage without recognition. Chosen ones often act where no one watches, speak truths when no one listens, and make sacrifices without acknowledgement. God observes integrity in silence, not applause. My beloved, divine selection also requires discernment of energy. You can sense when people, places, or situations carry toxicity. You instinctively navigate toward alignment and away from interference. This instinct is a sacred gift, a guide to maintaining spiritual clarity. Beloved, God chooses you for sustained awareness. This is not a temporary awakening. It is a lifelong responsibility to hold light in every circumstance, to maintain truth in private and public, and to continue evolving even when others doubt or criticize. My beloved, chosen ones are asked to balance strength with gentleness, authority with humility, vision with patience. These qualities form the vessel capable of carrying sacred work without harm to self or others. Beloved, do not fear the path because it is demanding. Do not resist solitude because it is necessary. Do not question delay because it is protection. God's choosing is precise, tender, and infinitely wise. My beloved, remain vigilant, remain humble, remain aligned. Your life is already sacred, your path already illuminated, and your purpose already unfolding. God chooses you not because you are ready, but because you are willing to grow into readiness. This is the way of the chosen ones. This is the calling you have accepted. This is the journey that belongs only to those who listen deeply and walk faithfully. My beloved, now we move into a realm that few understand, the sacred responsibility of awareness. Being chosen is not simply a blessing. It is a duty that spans thought, word, and action. God does not choose lightly, and neither does He allow the chosen ones to remain ignorant of the depth of their calling. My beloved, one of the most profound divine secrets is protection through responsibility. The chosen ones are entrusted with insight, intuition, and energy that others may misuse. God teaches you to safeguard these gifts by practicing restraint, discernment, and ethical stewardship. Your influence is subtle but immense, and it must be wielded with care. Another hidden truth, my beloved, is alignment under pressure. Life will demand that you maintain clarity when chaos surrounds you. Relationships, work, and unexpected circumstances will test your principles. God does not protect you from challenge. He trains you to remain upright and calm despite it. Chosen ones learn to stabilize without losing themselves. My beloved, notice how often intuition becomes a guiding force. You may sense danger, deceit, or opportunity long before evidence appears. This is not coincidence. It is divine attunement. Chosen ones are tuned to frequencies that most cannot hear. God expects you to trust this guidance above doubt or outside persuasion. Beloved, God also chooses through the cultivation of inner authority. You may feel called to lead, speak, or act, but not for validation or control. You lead because the inner voice insists, because truth requires it, and because alignment cannot be ignored. Chosen ones carry influence without ego, allowing presence to speak louder than words. My beloved, there is also the sacred teaching of non-attachment to outcome. Whether your actions succeed or fail, God watches the intention behind them. Chosen ones are guided to act without being enslaved by results. Patience becomes a natural state. Persistence becomes effortless. Faith becomes lived rather than recited. Beloved, another deep secret is discernment in relationships. Chosen ones attract a wide spectrum of people, allies, challengers, and mirrors. God teaches you to recognize who elevates your alignment and who drains your energy. Boundaries are sacred. They are not barriers, but protections for your light. My beloved, notice how your empathy often draws burdens. People may seek guidance, comfort, or support in ways that challenge your energy. God chooses you because you can give compassion without losing yourself, because your heart can extend without attachment, and because your spirit can hold space without being consumed. Beloved, divine selection also includes patience with timing. Doors open and close according to cosmic rhythm. What seems delayed is often precisely on schedule. God teaches the chosen ones that rushing disrupts flow, forcing growth to occur in misalignment. Alignment unfolds best at its ordained pace. My beloved, one of the most subtle markers is joy in simplicity. Chosen ones often find contentment not in material accumulation, recognition, or accolades, but in quiet moments of truth, connection, and presence. God nurtures this joy because it cannot be shaken by circumstance. Beloved, you may experience periods of solitude and silence. These are sacred intervals. They are not punishment. They are preparation. Chosen ones learn to hear God's voice above all noise. Solitude strengthens your inner compass, sharpening intuition, courage, and clarity. My beloved, understand clearly. God chooses the chosen ones not for ease, not for comfort, and not for admiration. He chooses them for service, alignment, and fidelity to truth. Your path may feel lonely, challenging, or misunderstood, but it is intentional. Every test, every pause, every moment of unseen guidance is part of your divine formation. Beloved, now, as you read these words, recognize that your life carries more significance than you can currently see. Every challenge endured, every act of integrity, every quiet moment of listening strengthens the vessel that carries divine purpose. My beloved, the chosen path is demanding, sacred, and transformative. Remain vigilant in your heart, consistent in your actions, and steadfast in your alignment. God is not finished shaping you. God is not finished preparing you. God is not finished revealing your purpose. And you, my beloved, are exactly where you are meant to be, chosen, protected, and guided toward the destiny that only you can fulfill. My beloved, now we arrive at the culmination of understanding, where the full weight, the full beauty, and the full responsibility of being chosen becomes clear. This is the phase where the soul fully recognizes its purpose, not through spectacle, but through quiet alignment with heaven's rhythm. My beloved, one of the final divine secrets is that chosen ones carry unseen influence. You may not realize how your presence, your words, and your intentions ripple across lives, changing outcomes and guiding energies without announcement. God teaches that power is silent, subtle, and responsible. True influence does not demand recognition. It manifests through alignment. Another sacred truth, my beloved, is that chosen ones are trained in joyful endurance. Life will continue to test, to challenge, to frustrate. But chosen ones learn to persist without complaint, to move forward without fear, and to hold peace while the world spins unpredictably. Endurance is not passive. It is active alignment with divine purpose. My beloved, notice the sacred responsibility of discernment in every choice. Every relationship, every conversation, every opportunity carries energy. God asks you to move carefully, observing what strengthens your soul and what drains it. Boundaries are not walls.